So the story starts on Twitter. Ah, yes, Twitter. Website that actually subjects you to torture in terms of cringy comments that you can read under every single post that you see because people get offended by everything and you can't do anything unless you're trying to please everyone. But isn't pleasing everyone is kind of like simping, and simping is not welcome on Twitter. So that means that basically people on Twitter are canceling themselves out. Anyways, and I can't blame Twitter because before Tumblr has had its downfall and everyone and everything cringy migrated to Twitter, it was a really nice website to spend time on, but ever since that terrible migration, it all went downhill. So as usual, I was scrolling through my timeline and minding my own business, and probably I wasn't minding my own business hard enough because I stumbled upon a post that at first I agreed with, and then the second thought after I read the comments, it just brought me back to my senses, my common senses. Am I making any sense? Am I ever making any sense? Anyways. And the post was the quote retweet replying to Sakimichan. And if you're not familiar with who Sakimichan is, she is an artist who is famous for her pinup work and basically not safe for work art. You know what I'm saying. Can't put it in simpler words because I don't want to be demonetized. And it was basically saying that they all look the same. And I agree. Here's the picture, the screenshot of the original post, because I decided not to screenshot the reply. But what I found interesting about the original post that yes, it was indeed a picture of slightly different female bodies, but they pretty much all looked the same. Whenever I saw her posts around, she did promote her Patreon quite often. And a lot of times the tutorials she would post would be about coloring and shading and all that good stuff, but I've never seen her post anything anatomy related. So that's what I want to get into, basically. And to any possible fans of Sakimichan or even simps, honestly, there are a lot out there who possibly think that I'm gonna be shitting on her art or stuff like that. You came to the wrong place. Please just watch the rest of the video or leave now, okay? Now, if you want to see examples of her artwork, check out her Instagram or Twitter. But in this screenshot, and this little glimpse of the anatomy lessons that she's posting on her Patreon right now, you can see a glimpse of kind of the general idea what her art looks like. It's just like mostly the same body type of curvy women. Sometimes she draws men in pinup style as well, but they also have this one defined body type. But we're gonna focus on female anatomy in this case because that's all the examples we have for now. And if you haven't caught my drift yet, yes, a lot of people got butthurt in the comment section. Now, to touch up on her anatomy and technical skills regarding human figure in general, I think that in some of her drawings, her figures are a bit off in terms of poses and how everything is proportioned, but she is really great with color, texture, shadows, and light. And I think those are just some minor problems that could be fixed with more practice. And I'm sure she practices a lot while drawing people. And before anyone jumps to my throat saying, it's just her style. Yes, I'm aware it's her style, but even when you have your own style, you can't ignore anatomy. Just, you can't do that. And let me explain that in depth. Now, all I'm gonna say is that anatomy is important. It doesn't matter what your style is. Anatomy is the basics of everything. It's a tool that you should utilize in order to improve your drawing skills and to apply those skills to then stylized figures that you draw. Like with objects, like inanimate objects, you want symmetry lines to help you make them not look like the hunchback from Notre Dame. You just like that, you want to apply those skills to the human figures that you draw so that everything is really polished and clean and just really nice looking. However, I do think that if she wanted to teach how to draw human figure, in this case female human figure, she should have focused on different body types, not just the one that she prefers to draw, because it's the point of the tutorial. Tutorial should be for everyone. It should be diverse. It should show different sides and all of the spectrum of human bodies and how they work. Even if it's just like a small glimpse of it. I don't know what her tutorial is like in depth, to be honest with you. Maybe she does have that in her Patreon tutorial, and I'm not her patron, so I can't judge properly. But just based on this picture, I think that she should have included some diversity. Even if she wanted to draw hourglass figure girls, she should have included some sort of variation to it, because even though there are common body types, it doesn't matter what if they're the same. It's just they are gonna look different on every single person because of the factors like height and bone structure and yada yada yada, and just like fat distribution. Even if two hourglass women stand next to each other, they're going to be different because they will have minor differences, but still noticeable differences in their fat distribution, in their build, in their height, etc., etc. And then again, it's if she wants to teach people how to draw in her art style, which it seems to be just the method that she knows that she teaches, there's nothing wrong with that at all, because maybe some people want to draw like her. Maybe she's happy to share that experience with other people. I don't know. Maybe there are a lot of fans of her artwork that would want to know her process, how she builds proportions and how she builds humans and how she comes up with poses and what references she uses. So again, there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't find anything wrong with drawing same sort of facial features or body type or just things in general, because artists build their brands based on things that they like to do, like to draw, like to portray and share with the world. For example, one of the most popular examples would be Andy Warhol with his canned soups. Sometimes you just see canned soup and you can't stop thinking about Andy Warhol. It's that prominent. His style, his passion was that prominent that now we associate him with canned soups. And I'm one of those people who likes to draw similar facial features or body type, because guess what? I see myself in the mirror every single day. I'm the one that I see the most every single day of my life. I'm the one who lives with my body. So naturally, I would just put it into my art as well as a part of me. Life imitates art, art imitates life. That's all it is. But you know, some people are just never happy. They're gonna project their bitterness onto people who don't even deserve it. So I guess it's time to read the comments under that post. As a larger woman, this really sucks for a multitude of reasons. You refer to the typical skinny body as normal, and then there's barely any difference in the second and third pinup. Really disappointing. You can't broaden your horizons past skinny. First of all, she put normal next to the first lady because her proportions are literally the closest to the realistic proportions of a real woman with the hourglass shape. And rightfully so, because she did not exaggerate this one as much as she did the next few. And yes, there are minor differences. You can't even really see them, but at the same time, it does look more realistic. The hips are more in proportion with her bust, and her waist is not as tiny compared to the rest of her body. So yes, in her style, that is quote-unquote normal. So basically is as close to realism as possible. Now, secondly, I can't call these women that she draws skinny. They're curvy. And some commenters think that fat equals curvy and curvy equals fat, when in reality, I'm just gonna break it down to you guys. Don't be scared. Curvy does not equal fat. And before anyone gets mad at me, I'm not saying that fat or chubby people are not beautiful. Heck, there are a lot of people of different sizes that are beautiful. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying that curvy is more about your bone structure. So, for example, in this case, an hourglass shape, let's take that as for example, shall we? Your shoulders are broad and your hips are wide. So that creates that hourglass figure. No matter what size you are, no matter what weight you are, you're just gonna be this hourglass all the time. You're gonna have curves because naturally your shoulders are broad and your hips are broad, like your bones. Your shoulder bones, your hip bones, they're broad. And then it creates the waist, a defined waistline. So, and it's kind of curves. That's what curvy is. And you can be fat and curvy, yes, because it all depends on your fat distribution and your bone structure, mostly on your bone structure. But you will not necessarily be fat and curvy. That's the point I'm trying to make here. Because just the word curve implies that you have curvature to your body. It's like you have a curvature to your spine. It's the same kind of concept, only your curvature is at the waist, or you just have prominent hips, or you have prominent bust. If you have that curvature to your body, then yes, you are curvy. And third point, she shouldn't broaden her horizons if she doesn't want to, frankly, because it's her trademark, it's her style. She can draw whatever she wants to, honestly. Artists are not obligated to represent everything or like to please everyone. They are just entitled to draw whatever they want and whatever they prefer and whatever they like, whatever makes them happy. Because it's not an easy job, and it often sucks the life out of you if you don't draw something that you like, but instead try to appeal to masses. This is not a not safe for work tutorial on female bodies. This is a tutorial over female butters that claims a standard quote-unquote hourglass body type as quote-unquote normal and pretends to teach you how to draw quote-unquote curvy characters when none of those are curvy. Jesus, man, that's a lot of quote marks. Again, as I explained, curvy is more about your bone structure and how your body distributes fat. So, and if you have that curvature to your body, it has nothing to do with your weight or other stuff. And again, maybe she just made a tutorial showing how she draws so that people could take inspiration, or those that really like her art style could, practice from how she draws people. Nothing wrong with that. A little shallow, yes, I agree, but nothing wrong with that. Y'all aren't understanding that she said proportion style, not body type. The pic is showing 3 different ways you can stylize a body. This is why the word normal was used, and it's also why none of them are actually fat. That is very true. And then the reply to this comment was, well, I don't know much about art, but the last one seems like they have removed 3 ribs from its rib cage, and that's not exactly proportional. Now, hate to break it to you, buddy, but proportions are different for every art style. And that's exactly what I've been saying about the importance of anatomy. Anatomy as a tool is super useful and super needed to utilize and learn before you jump into stylizing characters, because if you don't grasp anatomy fully and just jump into stylizing characters, you'll have a hard time proportioning someone's body in your style when you don't even know how to proportion it in a realistic way. It's just like you can't start running before you can stand up on your own 2 feet and feel stable. And even in the simplest cartoon art styles like Gravity Falls, you wouldn't think that there is a lot of skill that goes into that, but there's a lot of skill that goes into that, because these people need to come up with proportions that are exaggerated but still work in a way that it's pleasing to look at them, and so they don't look broken. And that's the thing. You need to know the real human proportions before you try and exaggerate the proportions of your art style, because if you don't know what you're doing, you'll end up with broken looking people. Stay calm, say your suggestions, and move on. She's a pinup artist that likes to draw the body types she wants to, just like landscape artists doing their rivers and canoes over and over. She made a small mistake with wording, English not being her first language. Society will live. And I agree with that. As I previously said, a lot of artists have one thing they focus on and get better at over time, just because they focused on that one thing, because they put all their effort into that one thing, so that then they have something that they can do professionally and be good at. And it's a good strategy. And also, it's part of their brand. You do what you like. Now, you would think that with the amount of horny people on Twitter, people wouldn't be complaining about seeing some not safe for work art or just suggestive art in general, but oh boy, are you wrong. Now, this one, the artist drew Rey from Star Wars more curvy than she is in the movie, and oh boy, did people lose their shit over it. Not only that, but also it turned into this whole men don't deserve to draw movement. Now, just like Sakimichan, this dude is known for his not safe for work art. You know the drill. Everyone's entitled to their own interpretation of characters, but this ain't realistic. Nobody can have boobs this big and fight without a supportive sports bra. Make her whatever shape you want, but give her boobs support. At the first swing of her lightsaber, they'll be out. Sir, ma'am, whoever you are, it's a drawing. It doesn't need support. It just needs to look pretty. That's all I have to say about that. Absolutely disgusting. Please be better. I mean, I understand if you don't like someone's art just based on your principles or your beliefs, but it doesn't mean you can just straight up be this rude to an artist who spent probably hours on a drawing, on a really good drawing too, might I add. His idea of women as 40-plus-year-old white lady from botched TV series. Boy. I think that if this person thinks that women from botched TV series look like this art, then I feel like they're gonna have a freaking heart attack if they see real women from botched TV series. Just saying. Have you ever seen a woman in real life before? Well, then I guess I haven't seen a real woman in my life too, based on the illustration I'm making in this video. What a shame. Funny thing is, those same people who preach about realistic human proportions and just drawing more realistically are those same people who start drawing and then see those do and don't kind of videos where they debunk what common mistakes beginners make or just what mistakes you should avoid while making art, and comment, "You can draw however you want." I mean, the irony. Where are her organs? I'm tired. I hate this argument too because it's like you can come up to any tiny and short person and ask them, "Where are your organs?" And it's gonna be extremely rude. And you know why? Because adults have same size organs, regardless of their size and weight and everything. And they take up the same amount of space. It's just they're more compact and short and skinny and tiny people. And they're more kind of spread out in taller bodies. And finally, there's this one comment under this particular artwork that made me want to shoot myself. I hate how a lot of comic book artists say it's their style when the truth is that they never took a figure drawing class. And I hate this comment especially because, as I said previously, and I hate sounding like a broken record, you can't start running before you stand on your own 2 feet and start walking. And same applies to anatomy and stylization of anatomy, because you need to know the basics. You need to learn human anatomy hardcore before you can implement something like that into your own art style. And as a comic book artist, they work with people and human anatomy, and they probably spend years taking figure drawing classes and just practicing for themselves and observing people before they actually started drawing comic books. They wouldn't be able to pull that off if they didn't know basics of the anatomy and proportions and how to play around with them later on, how to stylize them, how to exaggerate them. If you don't know the basics, you can't exaggerate and stylize anything. But that's enough Twitter cringe for me, for now at least, until I stumble upon something that will make me want to scoop my eyes out with a spoon. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, just, leave a like, subscribe if you want to. If you want to see me rant more about art, mostly about art because, I plan on making this an art channel. So, I appreciate the support. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.